What is going on, guys? This is LSU Recruiting HQ. It is November 6th, 2023, and it is the Monday after a rough Saturday for the LSU Tigers. Man, they dropped, uh, I don't even know what to call it, man, because it wasn't close enough to, like, break your heart, but it broke your heart still type thing. Um, LSU loses in Bryant Denny 42-28. I was in attendance, man, and it hurt watching it in person as much as I'm sure it hurt watching it there on TV. LSU drops to 6-3 on the season, 4-2 in the SEC, and kind of don't know where to start, man. Uh, this was one of those games where the bye week kind of had everybody's hopes up, I think. And some people, not me, some people might have assumed that, hey, LSU's defense has played better lately. They've been improving. But that just wasn't the case. When you face elite competition is always going to expose your weaknesses. And that was just another example in the LSU saga this 2023 season. LSU didn't get stops, man. They didn't get any. You got two in the first half, one in the second half, and it wasn't even close to enough to beat Alabama. The biggest thing there, you got two stops in the first half, and you end up tied 21-21 there at halftime. You're really feeling good. You get right out the half. You do your 2-for-1 situation, which you've been so good at all season long. And you get the touchdown right there to open up the half. It's 28-21, and you're feeling. I know I was feeling it. I was like, man, we got a chance. Like, that was the moment where I was like, okay, like we can really win this thing. Because, like, obviously you've been going score for score, but you're kind of like, I don't know, if you're me. Like, obviously I thought LSU had a chance to win the game going into the game, and they were going score for score, but it kind of felt like it was like, okay, like, now Bama's on the defensive type thing. Not necessarily like, oh shit, we're gonna win. Like, but it was like, damn, like, we're putting them in a tough situation there. But man, they answered the bell and more. Hats off to Alabama, man. They did everything they were supposed to do, man. That's what elite teams do. They expose you in the places you're worst at, and that's exactly what they did, man. They ran up and down on LSU all night. Jalen Milroe, probably could say that's probably his best game of his career. Definitely probably his best game of career against like a SEC team, I would think. Yeah, man, they just had no answers. It was a lot of design Jalen Milroe runs, and there was a lot of scramble Jalen Milroe runs, and those were the ones that killed LSU the most, man. Those 3rd and 10s, those 3rd and 8s. Where he just took off, man. He didn't just pick up first downs either. It was big plays, man. He was getting 20, 25 yards every time he scrambled. LSU just didn't. Defensive staff was just incompetent, as they've been all year with this type of situation. You got killed by it against Ole Miss, with the quarterback runs, and then you got killed by it again tonight. I understand the Perkins experiment, and it was going well. But there are some games where, man, you just gotta let a football player be a football player, and maybe if you don't want to take him out of that role, but somebody's got to be that role. Like, if you want to keep Perkins and doing what he's doing, that's all good by me. But you better have a freaking athlete out there after you've given up. They were 11 for 14 on 3rd downs. That's your padlock stat of the game. If you want to know why LSU lost the freaking game, it's because of that alone. You couldn't get any stops in the second half. You get your one stop was a missed field goal. And then, like I said, man, the incompetence of the defensive staff to not change things up after halftime was mind-boggling to me. I said it in the first half. They just watched them scramble all first half. It was like, next half they gotta put a spy on them. I don't know if that's Perkins. I don't know if that's Will Weeks. I don't know who it is. I didn't really care who it was. Just show me the effort. an ability to understand what was going on in the game and what was hurting you the most. And that was it. Jalen Milroe goes out in the second half. If you keep a spy on him and he stays in the pocket and he throws for 300 yards in the half and you lose, tip your hat, man. I didn't see anything from him throwing the ball that said he can beat me through the air. The LSU defensive backs did a decent job all night. I thought for the situation they're put in, I thought they played well. They forced Jalen Milroe to make tough throws, which he can't do. But LSU didn't make him try to do that enough. On third downs, they made it super easy for him. Your ends rushed up the field, broke the rush lanes, and let, I think every coach in the nation says this, but I heard Nick Saban say it the most when they were talking about Jaden Daniels, actually. About when you rush up the field, it takes you out the play entirely. So you're basically playing 11 on 10 or whatever. Well, LSU did that all the time, where both guys rushing off the edge, got upfield, and Jalen Milroe just step up, take off, and run. And everybody's back's turned playing coverage, and he picked up 20 yards like it was absolutely nothing. And it was probably the most frustrating thing in the world. Because you knew what was happening, and everybody, I think, on planet Earth that was an LSU fan could see what was happening, but somehow the defensive coaching staff couldn't. Brian Kelly mentioned in his press conference today as well, saying that they needed to keep a spy on, well, no shit. Like, why wasn't that brought up during the game? That was a huge concern for me, hearing that out of the man's mouth today on this Monday morning. About what needed to change. It's like that was clearly obvious after the first quarter, let alone the first half. And here we are on Monday morning talking about we should have done this and that. And it's like, no, that conversation should have been had at halftime. But it wasn't. And somehow LSU still found themselves in a tight game, 28-28 going into the fourth quarter. And for me, the play of the game that kind of just shifted the entire momentum of the game. You have the holding penalty. Jane Daniels breaks a long run. You have the holding penalty on Will Campbell, and it puts you at second 17. And then Mason Traylor drops about a 13 to 15 yard pass. It hits him right in the chest. He drops it. It's third and 17. You run a little quick out to the sideline. You're not pick up the first down. You punt. They go down, score, take the lead. And that kind of felt like that's where your momentum got lost. That wasn't the moment where I was like, LSU lost a game. But that was the moment where I was like, damn, like your whole strategy of, the 2-for-1 at halftime kind of just got shit on here because you messed up. And it's a damn shame, really. It really is a damn shame that I even have to bring that up. But everybody who was a realistic person, that wasn't pumping sunshine and rainbows and had these unrealistic expectations, everybody knew this game was going to come down to LSU outscoring Alabama on offense. Like, this team wasn't going to go out there and hold Alabama under 28. Like, they weren't going to do that. Like, it just wasn't in the cards. Like, Alabama's coaching staff is good enough. Alabama has good enough players that they're going to expose you for what you are, and that is a fraud on defense. You're terrible at every facet of the defense. You don't get any push up front. You don't stop the run. You don't stop the pass. Your linebackers aren't good. Your defense's backs aren't good. Like, you're just not a good defense at all. I don't know. It's everybody. It's players not tackling. It's coaches not calling the right plays, not making adjustments. It's everything, right? So that was already a given going into the game. You knew that. You knew that LSU was going to have to outscore them and be perfect. And it sucks that they have to be perfect every game, and they weren't perfect. Brian Kelly said it best after the game, like, we were good tonight, and good is not good enough to beat a top 10, let alone Alabama, who's ruled college football for the last decade and a half. It's not good enough. Good is not good enough to beat teams like this on the road. Like, it'll never happen. Like, you have to play elite. You have to be elite. You are not going to go in and you're not going to upset teams in the top 10, and you're not going to beat anybody worth a shit if you don't play at elite level on both sides of the ball. It takes a full 22, man. It's not just offense who's got to be perfect. The defense has to be good as well. Like, it was just tough to watch, man, because you had that situation with the Mason Taylor. They go down, score, you get the ball back. Um, Fourth quarter starts, and then the interception happens, man. And this was the play that sealed the deal for me, where you kind of knew it was over because you knew LSU wasn't going to get enough stops, and this felt like the dagger. You actually got to stop. We were going to hold him to a field goal. Perkins gets the horse collar, which is an unfortunate call, but the right call. I know a lot of people are talking about calls. I'm not going to be that guy who complains about referees because you had plenty of opportunities to win that game and you didn't execute, and it is completely on you and not a referee. So you have the pick, you give up the touchdown. You're down 2 scores at this point, right? So you're thinking, hey, we got the ball back. You have to score now. Now you have to score the entire game. Game's over if you don't score. Like I said, your defense isn't giving up any stops. It's 42 to 28 at this point, which ended up being the final score. And then the first play is the Jaden Daniels play. And I'm not going to talk about college athletes and what their intentions are. I think it's an unfortunate situation. I'm not going to say Dallas Turner's a dirty guy, a dirty player, whatever has been being said about him. But it is just unfortunate that play basically, obviously, I thought LSU was still going to lose the game, but it sucks that the best player in the game was unable to continue from that moment on. And I think it kind of ruined the allure of what a great game it was shaping up to be. It ruined the fourth quarter of a awesome atmosphere. The first 3 quarters was the most electric football I've ever seen in my life. It was just back and forth, heavyweights duking it out. But at that moment, the life got sucked out of the LSU sideline. You lost your leader, you lost your best player, and that's a tough situation for a backup to come in. And it felt like it was over when you saw Jaden get taken out. The second time he actually came back into the game, they got a procedure penalty and they took him right back off. And it felt like, wow. You just hope a situation like that doesn't lead to Jaden missing more than that quarter of the game. Hopefully he can continue and be ready to go for Florida. If not, I mean, Nussmeier's going to step up and do a great job, I got a feeling. But it just sucks for that kid, man, who busted his ass all offseason to become the player he is now, which is easily one of the best quarterbacks, if not the best quarterback in the country. And it was just a tough sight, man, because, like I said, man, all the stuff has been going around about Jaden Daniels the last 2 years, and for him to come out this year and do what he's been doing, it's just been awesome to see. I'm always going to be a Jaden Daniels fan, not just because of what he did on the field, but just the way he carries himself and the leader he is. He's just an amazing kid, amazing person, and it sucked to see, hopefully, not his season, or he doesn't have to miss any more time. Hopefully he can get back in it and be ready to go for Florida. But that was the moment where I felt like LSU lost. Obviously, the final score there, 42-28. LSU didn't score the rest of the game. And then, so now we're going to just talk about, man, like, what is it for LSU? Where is this program at? And I've been hearing a lot about it today. A lot about how Brian Kelly doesn't know what he's doing, like all kinds of crazy nonsense. LSU is going to be fine, guys. Like, LSU's lost 3 games to top 10 teams, all on the road. Like, they're going to be okay. Like, they've arguably had the worst defense in LSU history, and I can probably sit here and count on my hand. I don't think people understand how tight the margins are in college football. Like, the difference between LSU being undefeated right now and having 3 losses is absolutely outrageous. Like, I can count 3 plays from the Florida State game. I can count the, the 4th down play, Ole Miss when you're up. If you get a first down, that game's over. That's one play from the Ole Miss game. And then you have tonight's game. You know, you take away that Jaden Daniels interception, and you're probably looking at a closer game. You might have a chance to win. So that's like 5 plays in the total season that has led you to 3 losses. Like, that's how thin the margins on. These people think that, LSU just goes out here and doesn't execute. Like, that's it. Like, 5 plays. 5 plays have got you where you're at as far as the loss column is concerned. Like, it's crazy to think about how close you are to being to that next level, and you're not at that next level. Like, you're not a better program than Alabama. You're not a better program than Georgia. There's other tiers of teams, Ohio State, Michigan. Like, those programs are running at top efficiency right now, all doing it their own special way, which LSU is trying to find that out now. But I think Brian Kelly, in the process that he is working towards, he is light years ahead of anybody that's taken this job before. You got to think Coach O took this job over, lost to Troy. Everybody wanted him gone, right? You have the 2018 season where you lose 29-0 against Alabama after being highly ranked, ready to go in that game, and you get blown out 29-0, embarrassed on your home field. You have the Les Miles, right, debacle towards the end of his tenure where you lose to Alabama and then you just quit on the season and lose to Arkansas, lose to Ole Miss, lose to whoever. And it's just like the program is not at that point yet to be an elite program. Like, they just don't have the Jimmies and Joes. They don't have the numbers. They don't have the right coaches right now. But all of that is on the way. Like, recruiting is going well. Recruiting this year is going to take a turn for the best here in the next couple weeks, I think. And then we're going to be sitting here with probably back-to-back top 10s for sure, and then maybe even back-to-back top 5s depending on who LSU can get before the December signing period. Like, you're doing the right thing. Like, I think I tweeted today, LSU has 7 kids committed in the secondary this year, 4 kids committed at linebacker, several defensive line prospects. Like, they're doing the right thing here. The thing that has derailed LSU is that they were so far behind the 8 ball that you have to go to the portal, right? And you're taking a gamble on kids. You're taking a gamble on Deuce Chestnut, who gets in trouble and is not with the team. You're taking a gamble on Denver Harris, who you see who has a lot of potential but is a head case and is not with the team anymore. You got to go get Zy Alexander, who's a 3-time All-American at a FCS level, but has never played SEC football before. And that's not a knock on those guys. That's just the truth, man. Like, you hit good on the first year with Jared Bernard-Converse and Mekhi Gardner at corner. Like, you got lucky. Like, that is what that was. It was lucky. Maybe their evals aren't good enough, but they were trying to get bodies in there. Like, you had J.K. Johnson break his foot. You have Denver Harris not with the team. You have Deuce Chestnut, first team All ACC, not with the team. You have Zy Alexander, who breaks or gets injured and probably out for the rest of the season right before your biggest game. Like, not saying that would have made this defense better, but you ran into some tough luck in the portal this year. Like, you missed, and that is what the portal is. Like, it's not a guaranteed thing. Like, these guys are leaving their schools for reasons. They're moving schools for whatever reason, whether that's good or bad or whatever it is. And LSU took a chance on guys, and it didn't work out. But LSU is doing the right thing through recruiting and getting guys in here and getting the numbers back up to where you can find guys to play. Now, I think they need to make changes at coaching in the coaching staff along the entire defensive line. Like, they need to really reevaluate, like, every position group on defense. It's not just the DBs. It's the defensive line. It's the linebackers. They're all making mistakes, and it all starts with the main man. The DC is it's crazy what last year was. We talked about how good Matt House was at making halftime adjustments. That's how you won a majority of your games last year. You came out in the second half, you just beat the brakes off of people because you started making plays on defense, and it's just crazy how it's just been a complete 360 from what it was. It's just wild to me. It's crazy, but I'm not at all worried about the direction of this program. I predicted them to go 9-3 this year. I still think they're going to go 9-3. I think they're going to beat Florida. Whether Jayden Daniels plays or not, I think they're going to beat Florida, Georgia State, and A&M, and they're going to find themselves maybe at a chance at a New Year's Six game, and hopefully Jayden Daniels can come back because he absolutely if not winning it, he deserves to be in New York, and it'd be a damn shame if he wasn't invited. So hopefully he can get back, and we'll see how the rest of the season plays out, man. But that's all I got for you guys today, man. I hope you guys enjoyed watching it, and I will see you guys next week.